also in 1991, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2.
Which is obviously quite a phenomenon.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Still going strong today.
Amazing arcade game, coming to the Super Nintendo later.
Yeah,
and
it was a system seller for the Super Nintendo.
And a surprisingly good port. You know, you don't expect an arcade fighter to work well on a console with like little crummy D-pad and some buttons. Worked out really well.
Probably the most important fighting game of all time.
Arguably the best.
Yeah.
Still, man, they remade that, like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. Heck of a name. That it was like beautiful. It was a beautiful remake that, you know, they redid all the art, but pixel for pixel, it was the exact same game. And it just proved that you can have that kind of design, that core design holds up for decades.
Actually, really, it's interesting that Street Fighter 2 became one of the console war games. If I'm not mistaken, I actually didn't get a chance to fact check this before I came in here, but the Super Nintendo had Hyper Street Fighter 2, right? And the Genesis had Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition.
I'm hazy on the details.
And I think that's how it worked. And I had Championship Edition on the Genesis that added the 4 playable, the bosses were playable characters. My favorite anecdote about Street Fighter 2 is that the combo system, which the entire fighting game genre is sort of the foundation, it's all built on that, was the bug. It was an accident.
Really?
And they left it in. They discovered it and chose to leave it in. They realized that if you started one move before the previous had finished, you could cancel some frames and get in extra hits and land a combo, like 3 or 4 hit combos on people. And that was not intended. Like Street Fighter 2 wasn't designed with that in mind. And now it's
core to succeeding.
Yeah, and
then
then they doubled down on it and made super combos and sort of made it into an actual part of the gameplay. But it was an accident in Street Fighter 2.
That's amazing. You know, the best part of that game is the sounds.
Yeah,
like, Sonic Boom!
Tiger, uppercut.
And whatever Ryu says,
China.
his kick, his kick.
Yeah.
What does he say?
Yeah, it is really good, and all the it's like vaguely racist, like all
Some
the
of it, yep,
characters
for sure.
and
Just a little.
stages. But it's right.
But the music is genuinely amazing. It holds up really well,
Yeah.
and they had OC Remix do it for the re-release, the HD remix, and it just hearing that music remade reminds me how strong it really was.
Yeah. Composed by, I can't remember her name now, but there were just not a lot of women working in video games, and she was a female composer, did the music, did a lot of Capcom's classic
She did
music.
Mega Man stuff too, I think.
Yeah, not sure. And I watched a documentary on her, and she said the music is a little bit stereotypical too, and that was intentional. Like it was designed to be
Culturally appropriate, sort of.
A little bit, almost inappropriate, like just a little hammy. That's
Sure.
all. Like almost a little humorous, like the story, like the music. Like let's get really stereotypical, like Chinese music for the
Sure.
Chinese stage,
Yeah.
for example.
It's exaggerated.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so popular in arcades, it started the whole fighting game boom of the 90s with Mortal Kombat, Samurai Showdown, King of Fighters, Killer Instinct, all of those games. But then it was also just an arcade renaissance. Arcades had risen to popularity in the 80s, and then it sort of started to die off a little bit. But then Street Fighter was like...
It's funny, because Street Fighter 2 is so popular, nobody remembers Street Fighter 1, because it wasn't very good. But
Yeah,
like Street Fighter 2 is the genesis of that entire series.
I cannot think of an arcade that did not have Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even everywhere, bars, laundromats.
My laundromat has Street Fighter 2.
We
today.
The brilliant thing about Street Fighter 2 from like a business perspective or from an arcade perspective is so arcade owners or arcade game designers want to get the player out in under 3 minutes and get another quarter in the machine. Like they're designed to like kill you in 3 minutes. And that kind of sucks, especially if you catch on to that in like a single player game. If you're playing, whatever, Gauntlet or Asteroids or something, or Pac-Man.
A brawler is 30 minutes long, but it takes you $8 in 5 days.
Like they're kind of baloney. Like the games are designed to keep you pumping quarters into it, and so that's what makes fighting games so brilliant. Is that it got around that. Like the matches were short, and the winner got to stay, and then the loser was out. Like that's the way those games worked. So. We actually had a Street Fighter 2 machine, and my family owned a bar, and I would go there and do some work behind the scenes with the family when I was little.
You'd hustle all the old bar.
Yeah, like I was like the Street Fighter 2
ringer.
Yeah, I was.
Like, what's this? How does this work?
I would smoke all the adults at the game, and I would stay at the
Go
arcade
home
machine.
and be a family man.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting story about that.
Break
That's
a pool cue over your head.
That's a
Your little 8-year-old
mistranslation
head.
now. For Giles Go Home and Be a Family Man.
Yeah.
In the Japanese version, he's so much nicer. He's like, go back to your home country. Take care of your family or something like that.
Yeah.
It's so much nicer, but in like the
They made
American
it harsher
version.
in the American version.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
oh, I'm
awesome.
gonna be a family man. He says it to Chun-Li all the time. Cracks me up.
Yeah, they didn't really think that one through, did they?
Not really.
Street Fighter 2 also popularized the concept of one-on-one video game tournament fighting, whereas before that it'd be like everyone's just working on their own to get their high scores.
Yeah.
Right. And now you actually have 2 people in real time going head to head.
It's great.
And
Super
now,
smart.
now we have EVA.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks to Street Fighter.